Alright, here we are. We're playing more Acts of Blood demo. And I guess it's just a testament of how much I enjoy the game, because I'm really looking forward to when the final game is going to be appearing. And as you can see, I am going back to the full screen layout. For those of you who have been following me for a very long time, this is something that happens like every few months. You know, I always debate if I want to go on a full screen layout, but with a debate of should I do that? But I might end up covering some of the screen with my VTuber model, or should I shrink the gameplay screen and then fill it up with a bunch of things like chat and stuff, like what I've been doing these past few weeks, just to give it a little more, you know, personality and stuff like that. But it's an ongoing debate in my head. I don't know why. I can never fully decide if I want to do one or the other, but that's just me. And I suppose it's just that's just one of my quirks, for lack of a better word, you know. I can never truly decide like whether I want one or the other, because I always want it all with the hope that I'll be able to deliver a better experience for all of the viewers. So anyway, we don't have to worry about that. Let's just go and beat up some people in the arenas mode, and you know, just take care of that altogether. We're back in our snazzy little apartment in South Bandung. I haven't really done a lot of research on this, but the way it looks, it's almost as if it's a very fancy place. It's like BGC. Very swanky like BGC, honestly. Oh my goodness, naked with a jacket. Liquid Snake vibes. There we go. And you know, with all of this, it almost looks like we're cosplaying Kuana from Judgment. I actually want to play that game, and because I know the Yakuza games, of course, are very, very nice, but that's quite an investment, you know. I have to deal with 9 games, actually, counting from 0 all the way to number 8, which is Infinite Wealth. So we'll see if I can do that. But Judgment only has 2 main games, not yet counting the DLC Kaito files. So we'll see, you know, if I want to. And I also like the beat 'em up structure of Judgment. It looks kind of fun. I don't know, I just like beat 'em ups. As much as I say that I like fighting games, I think I like beat 'em ups more, because there's a lot less to think about in comparison. But if there's one game that I'm really looking forward to in 2025, it's Virtual Fighter. Virtual Fighter 5 Revo. Yes, that, like the 5th revision of Virtual Fighter 5. We haven't had a major one since Ultimate Showdown, excuse me. I'm still stuck in like 2010, because first we had the original Virtua Fighter 5 back in 2006 or 2007, and then Virtua Fighter R, and then Final Showdown, which was, I think R was like in 2008, and then 2010 we had Final Showdown, and then Ultimate Showdown was just like a couple of years ago, but that was only for consoles. And it's only now with Virtua 5 Revo that they're gonna bring the experience over to PC with rollback netcode. Honestly, I am not sure if I'm gonna be focusing a lot on ranked. As all of you know, I'm not really much of a ranked person. You know, life is stressful enough as it is already. I don't want to have to burden myself even more with that. I just want to be able to experience the game again. And honestly, I just hope that the new Virtua Fighter that they recently announced is going to be in the style similar, is still going to be similar to what they've been going in classic Virtua Fighter, like Virtua Fighter 5. Because taking a look at it, the vibes of that game feel a lot closer to something from Dead or Alive. Big environments, probably destructible environments, and uneven terrain. So you're not fighting on like squares or rectangles in the middle of nowhere anymore. It's gonna be like really grounded in the terrain. So if you're a fan of Tekken, for example, it's like Virtua Fighter 6 is gonna be going the way of Tekken 4. And you all know how people had their issues with Tekken 4 since it didn't seem, since the stage itself seemed to decide whether you had an advantage or not. How certain attacks would miss if you were on a higher or lower part of the stage. So that was just like another factor to think about, and not just like the skill of the players. Which I understand why they reverted back to traditional stages back in Tekken 5. Well, whatever they have planned, hopefully they got it implemented, because Dead or Alive still works on uneven terrain. All the explosions going off in certain stages and stuff. Dead or Alive was able to own it and make it a unique part of their gameplay ever since, I think it was 2? Yeah, that's when they started implementing all of those uneven terrain. The only game that I've ever really played in Dead or Alive all these years ago is Dead or Alive 1 for the PS1. When it really felt more like a Virtua Fighter clone. I have to keep quiet when I'm shooting for some reason. Ow! Ow! It's really... But anyway, we'll see. Fighting games are something that I love, but I can never really drive myself to be that competitive in any of them. I probably would have been one of those kids that, according to my brother, never really survived the arcade days. And I probably didn't, because back in the day when I used to play games in the arcade, I would only go for beat-em-ups. Because beat-em-ups are like the closest equivalent of experiencing fighting games without having to worry about, one-on-one confrontation. You're just fighting a bunch of NPCs for the most part. And sometimes it's a lot more therapeutic that way. You feel so powerful when you do this. When you can just launch, with just a few buttons, you can launch attacks that can take down an army of enemies. And then you could just feel so empowered to do all of this. I guess that's why Acts of Blood, and even before, Sifu, were like my comfort games, because it just made me feel powerful to be able to dodge and attack and do all of these things that I am clearly not able to do IRL, but it's just really fun, all in good fun. I know some people really thrive on competition, but that's not really my thing at this point, I suppose. When I'm going home from work, I no longer want to deal with like the stress of rank mode anymore. I left that behind when I stopped playing Splatoon rank mode. I was a toxic guy back then. Did the rage mode really just reset my chain? Yeah, I don't know why they really like to do that in this game. It kind of like loses the incentive of why would you want to go into rage if it's gonna ruin your hit chain and your multipliers. If you're trying to go for high scores. Ow! Ow! And then here we go. Also, if there's one good thing at least about earlier, I went back to the gym again. Yes, it feels good to have one of those 24-hour gyms near you. You'll be able to go through all of that and get your routine done without having to worry about a lot of people. But even if it's like super early in the morning, I have observed a lot of people are still around working out. There were like a handful of people by the time I went in, and this was like super late, early in the morning, mind you. And when I say like barely past midnight, people were still working to get their gains, and I'm like, okay, sure, go ahead. Whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. I certainly don't like it whenever I have to exercise, whenever I have to work out during like normal daytime hours. It feels quite stressful not knowing that there would be enough machines to accommodate me as well. I tried to go for pretty heavy today, and I actually broke a couple of records, personal records, which is great. I'm very happy that we're beginning to get ourselves acclimated again, especially when it comes to like cable rows. We managed to hit, I believe it was 25 kilograms and stuff. Those are fun, seated cable rows. And my big achievement is finally being able to hit 55 kilograms on barbell squats. So if we convert that, that's like 121 pounds, including the barbell, on my shoulders. Which is pretty awesome, actually. Although I haven't really reached that point of finding out what's like my real 1 rep max. Like, for those who don't know what that means, it's like, what's like the heaviest you can carry for like 1 repetition? Like, you can't, once you do that thing, like, you can't do it anymore. I would like to find that out when it comes to squats, but squats by their are very dangerous if you don't have a spotter. I'm just grateful that now in the gym they do have those bars that they use in case you don't have like an instructor or a spotter to monitor your form. At least you can put those up, and then in case you are too tired and you fall, then at least you can go use that instead. Because I will not forget that YouTube video or the news that was mentioned before about a person who unfortunately went a bit too heavy on their barbell squat, and because of that, it ended up crushing them. So, you know, when you have all that weight on your shoulders and then it ends up collapsing, and if you're not careful, holy cow, that's a one-way ticket to Pain Town. If you're lucky. If you're really unlucky, then, you know, that's game over for you. So, well, for the longest time, I tried not to really push my limits because I'm scared. You know, I don't really know what's gonna happen. And I've heard the horror stories. I've seen the videos of all those gym fails on YouTube that originally posted on TikTok. You know, ego lifting is definitely not something that you should be endorsing. Don't matter how heavy you can lift if you can't even do it properly. You gotta learn how to take it slow. You know, your only competition is yourself. And if you're so focused on trying to outdo other people, then you're gonna be in a world of hurt. That's what I'm trying to tell myself. You know, to at least make myself feel better. I definitely need that, especially around this time of year, you know. It seems like clockwork. The past couple of weeks of every year, I always feel at my lowest, you know what I mean? Like a holiday winter depression or something like that. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. But we all have to deal with that, you know. I suppose and it happens to a lot of people, a lot of friends too. You know, when they have to face the fact that, yeah, it's the end of the year, and then you have to understand, and you have to take into account everything that you've done for the year. And it's sometimes, you know, the truth stares at you in the face, and it's not pleasant at all. I'm really trying to be kinder to myself. Yeah, because, you know, in the end, who is gonna support me if not myself, right? There was this one lesson that I learned from the book Shogun, which was made into a series. If you've been keeping up, yeah. There was one thing where they mentioned that, you know, if you want to fall asleep more easily, just leave everything behind. You know, the day is done. Stop dwelling on what happened in the day. And, you know, you've done what you could. Whether you think that's enough or not, don't matter, really. Just deal with it. And try to be better tomorrow. I suppose that's like the grace we should be allowed to ourselves. I don't know if I'm using the term correctly, but I've heard about that before. You know, give yourself some grace. I think maybe the better way to refer to it would be like, give yourself a break. Give yourself some mercy, you know? There's only so much that you could do in your 24 hours that are allotted to you every day. Especially if you have to accommodate so many other responsibilities too. Which makes me also want to mention that thing, you know, where they were like, where people are like, oh, you have the same 24 hours as this celebrity or this person, for example. And in a way, yes, we all have 24 hours, but we don't have the same 24 hours. You know, not all of us have the same resources. Some of us have to spend hours just commuting to work. So much is lost. So all in all, just be kind to each other, you know? That's what I'm trying to tell myself too, because I couldn't really get to stream that much because of trying to focus more on personal development, especially when it comes to health. And I've made some progress. Some. Not significant, unfortunately. My family won't stop reminding me, unfortunately. But all in all, I have to remind myself that, you know, some progress is better than no progress. If I kept on my current trajectory and not tried to improve anything, I probably would have been in a much worse state now compared to when I started. I'll just say that losing like how many was it? 4 pounds was already quite a thing. It's been it's been 5 months, and I only lost 4 pounds. I really wish, in an ideal world, I would have had the strength to be able to, you know, resist eating so much. But, you know, like I said, you know, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't take back that time. I can only try to be a lot better with it. There is one thing that's interesting, though, and I like that there's a term for it. There's something called food noise, and it's like that buzzing in your head where you always wonder, like, what's the next about the next meal, which is something that I am really doing on a frequent basis, and that's not a good thing because it's always going to be on my mind. And I think that's also a major contributing factor for, you know, why I never seem to lose anything, because it's always on my mind. You know, that's kind of funny in a way. It's like, and you know, addiction is real. Food addiction. Food can be addicting, especially if you're going beyond just eating for the survival and just eating for the pleasure of it, or some other reasons. I'm beginning to understand, you know, why people say you have to improve your relationship with food if you want to help yourself on a weight loss journey. Because, you know, you cannot outrun a bad diet, as they say. And that's the thing that sucks the most. You know, over the past 2 years, almost 3 years that I've gone to the gym, I haven't lost anything significant because I always thought that exercise would be enough. But I remember years ago when I actually lost 10 pounds before, it was precisely because I combined rigorous exercise with, you know, smaller portions, healthier food choices and stuff. Takeout especially is a horrible thing. You know, when you start earning a little more money and then you realize, oh, you know, I could afford this. That's when it starts really getting dangerous, because now, as much as I am an advocate for having more choices in your life, sometimes having more choices is also dangerous. Because you can finally decide, oh, I could do this thing, or I could do that thing. Why not all of it? That's where all the trouble starts. When you think that, yeah, it's not a big problem, I could go ahead and do this. So, you know, you gotta be careful. I still don't want to give up my salary, though. even if it's a cause of my troubles, I would rather not give it away. I still need money that I want to use to commission art. Although that is a different kind of addiction altogether. But, you know, at least it's not just going to my belly. It's just gonna empty my wallet. That's right. There we go. Anyway, so there's a lot that's going on, you know. There's so much that still needs to be improved on, and I have to do it very quickly if I want to live better. You don't realize, you know, how addicting certain things are until you finally take the space and then you try to stop doing it. And it's like, oh, that hurts. It's like, oh my god, you have to keep doing this. Let me just rest my fingers for a bit. But yeah, that's just part of growing up, I guess. Part of realizing that, you know, some things that you do now, you can't just keep doing it anymore as you grow older. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made. Sorry, just a second. Alright, I think that's good. I think we have addressed that. Wait, how many more minutes? Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's continue. Oh, whoops. I meant to go back to the hub level. I wanted to change stage. You know, go to a different arena. Okay, let's go back outside. We're gonna go to the rooftop. Okay, let's see.
Kill that boy!
Ow, ow. Kill 30 enemies in under 5 minutes. Okay. We could handle that, I think. You know what? We're not doing it. We're not doing it well enough. Let's restart. Let's see if we could actually handle that.
Kill that boy!
All right, let's see. Nice. And all through it all, I'm really trying to focus more on all the good that I've done through this year, you know? And I think if people were to go watch this VOD, they might think that I'm just moping about all the bad stuff. But, you know, a lot of good stuff has happened this year, too. I've traveled a couple more times again. I have seen old friends, visited some nice locations, and done new stuff again. I finally reached my live 2D dream. Still need to iron out all the kinks, but you know, honestly, that's just how it is. And I'm really grateful that I was able to put that all to work too. And we've tried to do a podcast. We've tried other forms of content like Let's Plays. I think, at least creatively speaking, I have done like the most variety in just this year in comparison to all 4 of my years that I've been as a content creator. And I think I'll just give myself credit that, yeah, I've done pretty well for myself in that regard. I do wish that I was a lot better at managing certain things, but you know what? That's just, I'll try to keep that as a lesson for next year. And we'll try to improve more, especially when it comes to time management. Holy cow. I have finally come to realize how much time I lose precisely because I can never manage my time properly. You know, my cell phone has pretty much become glued to my hand, And because of that, with all of the videos that I watch, it becomes impossible to do anything properly. Is anyone like that too? It feels like a huge challenge if you're not able to do that. You get lost in all of the stuff that you watch. Kind of like, you know, I guess that's also one good thing that I am not addicted to TikTok, because if I was, holy cow, all of the stuff that would happen would make things so much worse. I can understand like the addiction of what's this, of short form content. It's really something else. But for me, it's just watching reruns of videos that I have watched a bajillion times. I don't know why. I remember when I was a kid, my father Svek used to tell me that, ask me, Serjay, why do you keep watching the same, you know, TV shows and movies, even though you've done those a bunch of times before? And I don't really know why. I guess it's just trying to see something from a familiar light now, that I suppose. Maybe that's what I was trying to look for. I'm not very good when it comes to like trying out new things, let's be honest. When it comes right down to it, I find comfort in the familiar. But aside from that though, I'm not going to say that I am not unwilling to try new stuff. At least, especially when it comes to food, I definitely am willing to try, because there's a whole world out there. But if only I applied that same sort of enthusiasm as I did with like other aspects of my life. That would have been definitely helpful for a lot of things, I think. Remember, Serjay, food is just, it's not the be all and end all of living. Sometimes you need to find other things to keep you busy and entertained. And there we go. Okay. What happened here? Why'd the stream stop? Okay. I think the best thing that we could do for now is just to end this recording. Yeah, just play it safe. I don't know what's happened, but anyway. Thanks very much again for your time, and hope to be able to catch you again soon. Thanks for joining me on this very brief stream, and hopefully we'll be able to get everything figured out. Okay, until then, you take care, always stay safe, and keep the world turning. Bye now!